Hello and welcome to part 2 of my 3-part YouTube series of creating this scene, but without the choppy screen cap. So click this button if you don't know how to create a terrain, trees, and add a bus, because that's all covered in the first video. So at the end of this, we'll have edited the ground, added grass texture, and got different hills, and also wind, which I didn't show there. But we'll actually add wind now. It's super easy to do. So to add wind, really easy. You got a game object. I know it's been cut off in the video, and then 3D object, wind zone, and that's it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is make edits in play mode because it's way too windy, so I'm going to dial that back to 0.5. I'm going to copy component. So the changes I make in play mode revert back when you unplay, so they've gone back to 1. And that's why I've copied component and paste component. That's a really useful tool. So edits I make in play mode can be pasted across when you unpause. Now I'm going to add ground texture to the terrain. So in the hierarchy, you want to click your terrain, the paintbrush icon, edit texture, add texture, and when you imported the environment package, it gives you a bunch of textures for the ground. I've selected a nice grassy one here, and when I click add, it covers the whole terrain with that. So I've applied a single texture to the ground. What you can do is you can edit the texture and add a second as the normal. Play around with different textures will give you different normal reliefs to what the ground is doing, and just find one that works in it. I find it adds a lot more detail to the terrain ground. So I can add another texture now. I'm going to go for this mud, and using the right paintbrush and some of the right settings in the inspector, I can begin to paint this mud over the texture, playing around there, bringing up the target strength a lot so I can actually see the mud, and just painting it around. And I've focused the scene around the bus like this to help me see what the player sees, essentially. So this is the first screen that he sees, and I paint around that. So now I'm adding another texture, and I'm going to look for some sand. And so I've now got 3 textures, and I'm just doing that over the mud. So mixing it up to get diverse ground, and using shift click whenever I've made a mistake, go back. So now we're going to add some grass. So flick over to this trees icon, edit, details, add grass texture, and in the environment package we imported is a bunch of different grasses. So you want to paint them on exactly as we did before with the ground texture. I got 2 different varieties of grass. You just add texture, and then if I edit them, you can go quite surreal with the colors. And so I've gone bright yellow and bright brown just to sort of differentiate the two from each other. So you get 2 different kind of grasses growing. Finally, we'll be adding trees. So you click the icon with the up arrow on it, and you can just start building these hills. Now, if you want to do a dip instead of a hill, you click shift and click. But for me, I'm all about creating these hills, creating hills in the distance, so that flat horizon becomes less flat. And that's all I'm going to cover in this tutorial. That's pretty much it as far as adding detail to our terrain. In the next series, this is 2 out of 3, and 3 out of 3 we're going to be creating the skybox and then moving clouds over the scene. So if you want to get started with that, click the button that's being shown on screen now, and we'll take you through skyboxes.